Hello children, today let me share a folk tale, Indian folk tale with you guys. One morning, a farmer was driving his cart to the market. It had rained the night before and the road was muddy and slippery. The horse was finding it difficult to pull the load through the mud. Then the wheel sank into a deep rut. The farmer began wailing and calling God for help. Suddenly, someone whispered in his ear, "Heaven helps those who help themselves." He looked around, but there was no one. So the farmer put his shoulder to the wheel and pushed with all his might. The cart slid out of the rut and he went on his way, having learned a lesson. So, how was the story, children? It was quite interesting. So, now let's read about a young man who used his wisdom and wits to help himself and his mother. So, now we are going to learn lesson 4. A Rat Has Learned. It's an Indian folk tale, and this is from the book The Magic Carpet. It was a quiet afternoon. 8-year-old Somdutt was sitting on a branch of a tree, sobbing into his kurta. Sobbing means crying bitterly. His world had turned upside down in a matter of days. Only a week ago, he would ride his favorite horse to school. He would have puris for lunch and laddus or kheer for dessert. His cousins would fawn over him. That means he would be the main attraction. And he was the favorite of all his uncles and aunts. Somdutt's father was a merchant who traveled to faraway lands with nuts and spices for sale. So children, it's a very good business. Nuts and spices, they had a good business and profitable business. After months of travel, he would return with gold, money and presents for his wife, son and other relatives. While traveling across the seas this time, the merchant ship was caught in a storm and sank. The merchant died, leaving his wife and son at the mercy of their greedy relatives. The very same relatives who had treated the mother and son so well earlier now looked upon them as a burden. So sad, that's the reason the boy was crying. Somdutt and his mother could not bear the cruelty and wickedness of their relatives for long. They left their home and went to live with a friend of Somdutt's father in another town. He had often offered them shelter and help. In exchange, mother and son had to cook, clean and wash clothes for his large family. Somdutt's mother worked hard all day. She no longer wore beautiful clothes or jewelry, but she made sure that Somdutt went to a teacher on the outskirts of the town, so he could learn to read, write, and count. 10 years passed in this manner. Somdutt was now a handsome young man. Hard work had made him lean and strong. His mother, on the other hand, had become weak and looked older than her years. Somdutt was pained to see her tired and wrinkled face. He wanted her to be comfortable and lead a life of luxury again. So one day, when she suggested that she should visit Ved Prakash, a wealthy merchant who gave loans to enterprising young men, he decided to try his luck. The next morning, Somdutt oiled his hair, took a bath, and put on the clothes he wore only during festivals. He reached Ved Prakash's huge house. It looked like a palace with guards at the gate. Somdutt made his way to the room from where the merchant conducted his business. Ved Prakash, a wizened old man, was shouting angrily at a young man. "How dare you show me your face, Dev Sharma? You have not paid any interest on the money I have lent you, and now you tell me you have spent the principal as well, and then you have the gall to ask for another loan. It is true what they say, a fool and his money and soon parted." Dev Sharma whimpered, "I am sorry. I know I don't deserve a second chance. But I appeal to your generosity. Please lend me just enough to repay what I owe, and I will land in prison. Or I will land in prison. Enough, enough of your silver tongue. Away with you, guards, take him away, roared the merchant. Somdutt wondered if this was the best chance to ask the merchant for a loan. He hid behind a curtain and waited for the old man to calm down. Just then, a young woman entered the room with a glass on a tray. She said, "Here, father, this cool buttermilk will calm you down." "I don't want to have anything right now, Vinita," grumbled Ved Prakash. "What is the matter, father?" asked Vinita. This was one of the wicked young men I had lent money to. He has lost all the money and expects me to lend him more. I started my business with nothing, daughter. I built everything from scratch. So I help those who show promise so they don't have to struggle the way I did. But money makes them lose their head and they began to squander it. He looked around and then continued, "Look at that dead rat. With the right skills, a man may build a successful business for that." Somdutt had been listening intently. Now he stepped out from behind the curtain and addressed Ved Prakash. He bowed and said, "Sir, pardon me for standing here and watching the going-ons. With your permission, I will now take this dead rat as a loan. With what I have learned from you, I will set up a business and one day repay you." With another bow, Somdutt left. Father and daughter were dumbstruck. For years they had seen young men beg or wheedle for loans. And here was a man who was taking away a dead rat and counting it as a loan. Unaware of the impression he had made, Somdutt made his way to a busy market. In the hubbub, someone called out, "Young man, don't throw away that rat. Bring it here." Seeing the surprised look on Somdutt's face, the man explained, "One of my cats is old and cannot catch mice. It will relish this treat. Here, take this bag of Bengal gram in return." Somdutt thanked the man and went home. At home, Somdutt roasted and ground the gram into sattu. He took the sattu and a pot of water to the outskirts of the town. He gathered some sal leaves and folded them into small bowls, in which he mixed sattu with water. Then he waited. Soon, woodcutters came out of the jungle carrying bundles of firewood. They were tired and thirsty. Somdutt offered them the cool sattu and they happily drank it. Each woodcutter gave him some firewood in return. Somdutt thanked them and went home. The next morning, Somdutt sold the wood and bought some Bengal gram, which he ground into sattu and sold to the thirsty woodcutters. He did this every day for a few months and saved the money. The rains were about to come. Somdutt bought all the firewoods he could, but he did not sell it. Soon there was a shortage of dry firewood. Somdutt sold his pile at a huge profit. With this money, Somdutt bought spices and nuts from his father's old friends and sailed to distant lands. He had many adventures on the sea. He came back a successful young merchant and built a house where he began to live with his mother. With the money he had earned, he also set up a business in the town. When they flourished, he went to meet Ved Prakash with a golden rat as a token of his gratitude. Ved Prakash did not recognize Somdutt at first. He had been 5 years since their last meeting. When Somdutt handed him the golden rat, Ved Prakash looked at the young man and remembered the incident of the dead rat. The merchant refused to take the rat, but Somdutt insisted. He explained that not only had the dead rat been alone, But Ved Prakash's words were the inspiration that had led to his rags to riches story. Rags to riches means poor to the rich stage. Ved Prakash finally accepted the golden rat. Somdutt had repaid his loan and also won a wise friend and mentor in Ved Prakash. So, children, the wonderful message that we get from this lesson is God helps those who help themselves. Thank you.